The crazy penguin teaches you Linux. Nixnoob.com.
Welcome to Nixnoob. In this video I want to debunk a couple of Linux myths. The first one is that Linux is hard. And this used to be true, but this really is not true anymore. Linux has gotten so good on the desktop that really you already know how to use it. I'm running KDE Desktop, which is very similar to Windows. I have a taskbar down here. Here's my programs that are running. If I want to launch a browser, I click on my browser icon. If I want to run another program, I can click on my start menu just like I would in Windows. I can search, type in GIMP, and there's GNU image editor, and now I'm editing a photo. So pretty much the same as Windows. By default, you're not going to have virtual desktops, but you can turn them on. You've got a clipboard history by default, which is fantastic. Let me just open a test folder here. I'm just going to create a new folder called temp. So all I did was right click, create new folder, temp, just like Windows. Double click, here we go. I'm going to create a screenshot. To create a screenshot, all I do is hit print screen, and that opens up a nice capture program. I told it I want to create a rectangular region, so you know what? I'm just going to take a screenshot down here of this. And now I can edit this. I can draw a little arrow on here. I can add some text. This is some text. And let's change that color to be white. Okay. I could pixelate this if I wanted, if that's something I didn't want to show. I could also blur it if that's something I didn't want to show for some reason. Anyway, and now I can copy this to my clipboard, or I can save it as a file. So I'm just going to save it to my temp folder here, home, temp, and call it, I'll just leave the default, no, I'll call it screenshot. Screenshot, I'll take the date off of it. Save, and so we've got that as a PNG now. But I could have also just copied that to my clipboard and pasted it, like if I was in a Teams meeting or something like that, or wanted to post it in a chat, I didn't have to create a file to do that. But so you get the idea. As far as file management, if I want to right click and create a copy paste, I could also do that control C and control V, just like you would in Windows. Control C, control V, and it's asking me to suggest a new name because that already exists. So I just told it to add create a new name. But for the most part, everything works just the way it would in Windows. There's some stuff that I would argue is better. Like for instance, if I wanted to move these somewhere to my desktop, I can drag them both and just drop them on my desktop. But then it asks me what I want to do with them. So do I want to move them here? Do I want to copy them here? Do I want to link them here? Do I want to add them to a widget? Or do I want to set my wallpaper to that image or cancel? Now, because I dragged an image to my desktop, it gave me a couple extra options there, like set as my wallpaper and stuff like that. But it also gave me the option to cancel what I just did. I could split here and just go to a different folder, same thing, drag and drop. And again, it's asking me if I want to move, copy, link, or cancel. I could also, if I wanted to, open my documents folder in a new tab. Let me go ahead and close this. I'm going to come here and go documents, open a new tab. So now I've got that. I could take these and drag them to that tab. If I hover over it, it switches me into that tab. Again, I can move them that way, cancel. I could open a whole new file manager if I wanted to and drag and drop them this way. I could view this as a list view and drag and drop stuff like this. Again, I don't want to do that, so I can just hit cancel, which is really nice to have that option. Also, the option to link, copy, etc. is really nice. And I would argue that that is better than the way Windows file management works. But if you just know how to use Windows and try to use Linux, you're gonna know how to use Linux. Everything is gonna work just exactly as you would expect it to, including most of your hotkeys. So the next thing is that you have to use the terminal to use Linux. And this is not true. You can use the desktop, never touch the terminal, and do everything you need to do in Linux. But everyone says this like the terminal is a bad thing. And the terminal is really a superpower that you have on Linux. The terminal is why Linux is used for most servers, because you can shell into a remote computer without having to have a GUI desktop and install software, edit config files. Everything that you could possibly need to do, you can do from the terminal, and that is a plus. For one, it simplifies a lot of things, and I'll give you a contrived example in a minute, but let's just go back to, let me put you back on the monitor where you can see here. Go back into my home temp folder that we just made. I'll go back to this view and temp. So screenshot PNG, let's say I wanted to make that a JPEG. I can just convert, I need a terminal. So let me just add a terminal to this panel here. Terminal panel to this window. I can just go convert and then type in that screenshot, let it tab complete for me, a screenshot.png to screenshot.jpg. Okay, I just converted that to a JPEG. Here it is. I didn't have to do anything. Normally, I would have to open this with GIMP or another image editor like Krita, and then go save file, export as, and then tell it to be a JPEG. And then as soon as I do that, it would ask me, I have to do JPEG 2 probably because I already have that one there, JPEG 2, export. And now it's going to ask me, do I want my EXIF information? What quality do I want it at? Right? It's going to ask me all these questions. So anyway, I didn't have to do that. And the advantage, I could do that for multiple files. But here's a better contrived example. Let me just delete these images here. Actually, from the terminal, let's just add those to a zip. Just like Windows, I could right click on this and say compress here as a zip. There we go. We just made a zip file. I could also, from a terminal, let's say I wanted to make a tar.gz file. I could do a tar cvfz, and then I just want to do I want to call this screenshots.tgz and do a star. Star.png. Oh no, I did a tar X there. All right, so I just added those to a zip from the command line. So the advantage there is I could do that on another server without having to have a GUI desktop. I'm going to put all this in my trash for a minute, and I'm going to give you a very contrived example here. So let's go to this and set my profile to have really huge text so you can see what I'm doing here. So this is one of the things I like about KDE is you can have a terminal attached to your file manager, Dolphin. And so if I like cd up a directory, you're going to see it change in the file viewer. And if I cd back to temp, you're going to see that change in the file viewer. So I like that. I think that's super cool. But so a contrived example. Let's say you're having a problem in Windows, and to fix it, you have to make a directory structure with like A inside of B, inside of D, inside of C. Like I would have to walk you through all those steps and tell you how to use the GUI to do that. So my instructions to help you fix your problem in Windows would be go to your home folder and then create a new folder and call it A. Now, double left click on folder A, right click, create new folder, and call it B. And then double click on B, right click, create new folder, C. And I'm just going to go to D here. And then, so again, left click, double left click on C, right click, create a new folder, type in D. So my instructions to tell you how to do this using a GUI is this long list of instructions where I have to describe what to click on, whether to left click, right click, what to type in. So that is long and complicated. With Windows, usually it's, go into registry edit and search for this and then change this to that or whatever. I'm going to move this to the trash. And I could have just hit the delete key, the same as you would in Windows, or shift delete to delete it without sending it to the trash, the same as you would with Windows. But so in Linux, to have you do the same thing, I would just say copy and paste this command, and I'd have the command make directory -p for create parent directories, A-B-C-D, and hit enter. And that's going to do exactly the same thing. So now we have A with a B inside of it, with a C inside of it, with a D inside of it. And all I had to do was tell you to copy and paste this one command. So in my opinion, that makes Linux easier because you can solve almost any problem by copying and pasting a command. And now it is important to know what those commands are doing. You don't want to just copy and paste everything because, someone could put something nefarious. So it's good to know what your commands are, but it is possible to fix almost any problem in Linux by copying and pasting a command. And I think that makes it much easier to use. And the terminal is a powerful super tool. It's not a negative thing. It can actually make a lot of problems easier to solve. And if you wanted to learn the terminal, you can learn the terminal without anything. Basically, a couple of commands you can learn how to use the terminal. So there's a command called apropos, and I'm gonna make a video called apropos is the only command you need to know. So if I do apropos and then I don't know what it is I'm looking for, I just know I want to list directories. So I could just say directory, and this is going to list every command that has anything to do with directory in the description. So we've got read directory, and a lot of these I'm not even going to know what they are, what they do. There's rm directory, I know what that one does. There's make temp. But if we just look through these, here's ls right here, which is list directory contents. And without getting too heavy into the terminal, like I could do apropos directory and then pipe that to grep and search for list. And that would limit my list down. Now you can see I've got directory and ls is right there. Third option. So I can find anything that I'm looking for, even when I don't know what it is I'm looking for, using apropos. And then once I find what I'm looking for, you can type man and then the name of the command. And here's the manual for that. So ls, list directory contents, A for all, -A for almost all, dash dash for author. And so a lot of commands will have a short form and a long form. And then also at the top under the synopsis, it tells you, so ls is the command. And then in square brackets, that means these are all optional. And then also optional is a file or directory. So list information about the files, the current directory by default, or and sort entries alphabetically if none of the sort is specified. So this tells you how to use the command. It's ls and then some options, and then optionally a folder or file. So if I come here, right now it's telling me to hit Q for quit. So Q to get out of that. And if I do an ls and don't do anything, it's going to list out, well, currently I don't have anything in this directory. Let's just do a touch test.txt. Now, if I do an ls, there we go. We've got test.txt. And if I do an ls-a l, it's going to give me more information about that. But anyway, so we can learn any command we want just using the manual pages and using apropos to find commands that we're looking for. And then just as another example of powerful stuff you can do, one is if I go cd /, that's taking me to my home directory, and that's whatever user is logged in. So if I wanted to tell someone to make a temp directory, I could say make directory, give them a command /. That's going to go to their home directory and then temp. So let's say I'm telling you how to do something via terminal. I can say copy and paste this command. That's going to make a temp. Now, it didn't do that because that already exists. But so my next command would be cd into that directory. So cd / temp, and that would take you into that directory. Okay, so now if we do pwd, which is parent working directory, that tells us what directory we're in home next noob temp. So now let's say the solution for you was copying the Google homepage to a text file called google.txt. We could do a wget http://google.com, and then output is Google. Well, actually, let's make it google.html. And there we go. So now we just downloaded the HTML from google.com and put it in a temp folder under your home folder. And if we go open that in a browser, we can see we've got the Google. Now, it's not going to have any of the images because those are all relative links, but we could go actually look at this HTML in a text editor. And there we go. There's the HTML. Now, this is the default text editor on Linux, and you can see that it recognizes and syntax highlights HTML for me. If we open the same thing in Notepad on Windows, it would look entirely different. But basically, this is just, it's a complicated web page, so there's a lot going on here. So it looks very, very complicated. That's just because it's a complicated page. But we can see that it is syntax highlighting all the HTML for us. And that's just an example of we can go grab a web page and save it. So really anything we could possibly want to do, we can do from a terminal. Another contrived example, let's take the man page for make directory, man mkdir, and let's pipe that to a file called mkdir.txt. Okay, so we just grabbed a man page. Now let's add the manual for ls to that. So we'll do man ls, and then we want to go greater than because we want to append this, and we'll append that to our make directory.txt. Okay, so now we've just got another manual page added to that. Let's open that in Kate and see what that looks like. So here we've got the manual for make directory, blah, blah, blah. And then now we've got the manual for ls down here at the bottom. Let's say I'm just going to delete this stuff here, move to trash. Let's say we wanted to split that for some crazy reason. We just want to split that into 30 files. We can just go split -n 30, and that's make directory.txt. Okay, so now we have 30 files. I'm going to delete this original file. And let's just look at one of these. Open with Kate. Okay, so we've just got some of it. And let's look at the next one. And again, we've just got some of it. Let's say I wanted to put those all back together again. I can just cat star to, I'll call it combined.txt. Oop, I need to pipe that. There we go. So open with Kate. And now we put all those files back together again. So again, this is just a contrived example of the power of the terminal. It's super powerful. You can do anything with it. And because of it, it's actually easier to solve problems in a Linux because usually the solution is going to be copy and paste this command. I hope that makes sense. And I hope the terminal scares you a little less now. And thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.